So today I didn't actually want to make a video. I don't even really want to make one right now. Crusher way to start a video. But I feel like this is the important part. You always see people who are like super gung ho about stuff. That's like what social media is. It's all this like, everything's great. My life is perfect. And I've been like doing super well. And I'm not like super bummed out right now. But I just haven't like gotten very good sleep the last couple nights. I've been eating a little bit more than I should. And when those two things get combined, it kind of puts me in a funk. And I know exactly what I need to get out of it. I also need to pray because God will give me some grace. But I wanted to just talk about like, what do you do when you get into a funk and you're not really feeling God's presence? Like, how do you get it back? And I have no professional opinion on this. This is just my own personal opinion about how I've done this before, how I plan on doing it now, and what kind of stops me from like taking the dive into getting worse and worse rather than just being like, okay, this is a bad day, maybe it's a bad couple days, and then you just move on. So if you're not like really feeling God's presence, like what's the first thing you do? One, pray, for sure. And just, and honest, I mean, I'm just honest with God when I pray. I just really bring everything. Um, and I really don't hide anything. This can be a separate video, but it also kind of stems from the fact that like when I've gone into confession before, I literally have said all my worst ones. I actually was in confession recently, and the priest I was saying something, and I was asking him like how to deal with something, and he was like, like just sit in your own thoughts and like go to like all of your like kind of darkest sins, and then come back to confession and confess them. I was like, oh, I've done all that. I was like, there's no worse sins that I need to confess. And he was kind of taken aback. I don't know if like a lot of people kind of hold stuff back, or if I'm not really sure. But my point is that the fact that I've said all of that in confession makes it very easy for me to be honest with God, because it's really easy to be honest with somebody who's not another human being. And so whenever I talk to God, and I did this morning, I was like, I don't feel anything right now, and I'm sorry. That's just the reality of the situation. And I'm still here. I'm still showing up. Not like now. I was saying this morning. And that's kind of like how I talk to him. And then I'll say my prayers. And then at the end, I'm like, hey, can you like help me with this connection? Like help me feel closer to you. And yeah, there's no like hard and fast rules about the way it's supposed to be. But I feel like honesty is the best policy. And it's one of the reasons that, well, it's kind of the reason I named my podcast The Gift of Honesty. Because if you're just honest, and that goes with like being honest with yourself, being honest with others, and especially being honest with God, like be honest with Him, tell Him what you're really feeling, and then He'll help you out. It's just like any relationship. If you're honest with somebody, then they can help you. And I don't think that our relationship with God is any different. He'll help us in like tough times, even when we're not asking, if He knows that like eventually we'll say yes. But if you just never go to Him honestly and openly, like you'll never get that real connection. And so if you're having a downtime, just be honest about that, and just say, having a crappy day a little bit. The other thing too is like, is it a result of sin? Like, is your lack of connection a result of sin? Could be like pornography. Mine isn't really a lack of sin. I would say it's like slight gluttony, lack of discipline, because I've eaten more than I should. There's been like, yeah, if I would feel better right now. I just had dinner at a friend's house, and another buddy of mine recently, he was like, fast when it's good, but feast when it's good. And I just like don't feel good feasting. Like, I feel like I was a little bit gluttonous tonight, and I feel like that put me in even worse place. And it's not like I'm like terrible. It's just now that I'm like really cognizant of my connection with God, when it kind of gets pulled away, when it gets diminished, I'm much more aware of that than I used to be. And so yeah, I don't like it. So is it a result of like sin? Is the lack of connection a result of sin? Like pornography, staying up later than you should, drinking, smoking weed, like whatever it is, like whatever your vices are, gluttony. A lot of people in America have a hard time with food. And whatever it is, just acknowledge that, and then ask God for help, right? Ask God for help in your prayer. Like if it is a result of sin, say I'm sorry, go to confession. If you're not Catholic, I understand. I'm not here on this channel like look down on anybody, but I think if you're like really trying and you're just not there when it comes to Catholicism, I believe confession is the best tool for the forgiveness of sins. Otherwise, I wouldn't be Catholic. But if you're not Catholic, then just ask God. Be like, hey, I'm really sorry, and mean it. Doesn't mean like you go and do it this next day again. And maybe you do because we're human and we're fallen. But at least at the bare minimum, like genuinely ask God for help for whatever you're struggling with. Also, remember the devil, right? These are the moments where the devil's going to try to creep in and get you to do something that you wouldn't normally do and then rip that connection even further. And then you're going to be like, oh, I failed. And then you're going to go down this whole rabbit hole of negative thoughts and, oh, I'm like POS and this is what I always do. Or I don't know, like whatever people tell themselves, I'm a failure. Whatever. That's the moment that the devil is waiting for. When you're doing really well, the devil's like, you're human. I got you. I don't know when, but eventually you're going to struggle. And once you do, whoop-ah, I'm going to strike. And just be cognizant of that, right? Because he wants you in those times. Those are the times where he tries to like get his claws back into you. And if you're not aware of that, then, you're fighting an enemy that you're not aware of. And I'm blanking on the term, but there was some type of, what's that? There was like Sun Tzu, or there's like The Art of War he has like something like, when your enemy's failing or whatever, let him fail or something like that. I don't know. But the devil's smart is my point. And you can even tell in this video, like my thoughts aren't very like put together. That's like what happens when I feel like disconnected from the Lord. I feel like this is what happens when I have lack of sleep and food. Like this is the video that I put out. It's like even this isn't as good, So I apologize that my glutton and my lack of discipline for sleep has made this a kind of a crappy video, but it's honest. So it's kind of part of the channel, especially when it's called the gift of honesty. And then the last thing I would say, and this is a happy note, just remember in your down times the joy that you feel when you're with God. And these are all, honestly, I just wrote down, like, this is what I'm thinking as I was going through today. And, like, I've been feeling really, really good. And if I just, like, buckle down, get my prayers under control, or get my food under control, rather, and then, like, pray hard, it'll come back. I know it will. And that's one of the blessings of, like, having a good connection with God. It's not something that I really doubt. And I haven't even really been connected with it that long. And if I'm being honest, I haven't really struggled hard since I formed that connection. I haven't had to like go through something hard. I lost my dad and my brother, but I haven't really been tested while I've had this type of strong faith. And so that'll be a different type of test. Eating a little too much and not getting enough sleep is not like a big test of your faith or anything. But no matter what type of trials or struggles you're dealing with, remember how you feel and the joy that you feel when you feel truly connected with God. And just remember that in your head. And remember how you feel when you give in to all of your like sinful desires. And do you want to go down the path of sinful desires towards like that terrible feeling of, frankly, I mean, I personally kind of hate myself when I get like that, honestly. I'm just like, you're a piece of garbage. That's kind of like what I say. Not like verbatim, it's actually kind of worse. But yeah, I don't like myself when I'm like that. Nor should I, I shouldn't like myself when I'm like that. That's not me, that's not the good version of me. That's not the holy me. And, you can either do that or you can go down the other path where it's like love and peace and joy and happiness, So it's like you get to choose your path. You know which path leads to which direction. So pick the right one. And I meant this one. Pick God. So that was the devil. This was God. Pick this one. Anyway, so yeah, if you're not feeling God's presence, just tell him so in your prayers. If it's a result of sin, just acknowledge that, know that, and ask God for forgiveness and ask him for strength during your prayers to kind of overcome that sin. Remember that the devil wants to get his claws back into you when you're in your down times. So make sure you try and pray a lot and prevent that. And remember the joy you feel when you're with God. It's going to come back. Um, and also, just like any struggle, any trial, once it does come back, you're like, yeah, it's just overcoming any other obstacle. And once you overcome it, you feel even better, and it'll strengthen your faith. And just like anything, if you don't think that you can run 5 miles and all of a sudden finally you figure it out, you've been training for a while, you go out and run 5 miles, you're like, man, I could do that. I didn't think I could do that. And all of a sudden now I know I can do that. And it gives you confidence, So have confidence in yourself. Pray to God. He's going to help you out and you'll get through it, So don't do it alone. You're not alone. You're never alone. Whether you think you are or not, you're not. So you have that. Anyway, until next time, stay safe, live free, and God bless you. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.